We're tucking into lamb for lunch today, but not your typical Sunday roast.
Yes,
Oh, no.
Tara Walker, author of Good Food, No Stress, joins us. Do tell, I think this is going to be perfect for the day, the weather that's in it.
Yeah, it's a really warming and ideal for sort of, when we're coming into the cold winter and everything like that. It's a lovely warm dish. So first of all, I suppose the first thing to mention is a lot of the spices. It's basically a lamb stew, but the
What
spices.
makes it a tagine, though? What gives it the...
Well, as Simon pointed out earlier, it's the cooking vessel.
Right.
But really, it's what has happened is the vessel was a kind of slow cooking, sort of ceramic dish that sat over a fire.
Is that the ones that have a kind of a...
Yeah,
correct.
It looks like a little chimney kind
yeah.
of thing coming out of it.
But basically now we kind of associate the dish with a slow cooked dish like that.
Right.
With that.
Yeah.
But the spices are really interesting. I love all the spices from that part of the world. They're nearly more like what we would associate with Christmas spices.
Yeah.
So you've got your cinnamon,
Smell it.
nutmeg, ginger, all
yeah,
of those.
God bless that.
So I'm going to make up a little marinade
What's
here.
the one, the Moroccan spice?
Ras el hanout.
Ras el
Yes.
hanout.
Ras el hanout.
So I have some ras el hanout in here. And if you can't get ras el hanout, don't worry about it. You can use your other spices. So I have cumin, cinnamon, cayenne, paprika.
And they're all...
ginger.
Every supermarket in the country
Exactly,
has
yeah.
them.
And the
Ras el hanout available, Tara, now?
It is, like, I mean, I have loads of
get
pots
it,
of it,
yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes the ras el hanout sort of special or different is there's a little bit of rose petal in it.
Oh,
Makes it
very
more
good.
authentic.
Nice.
But if you can't get
There's a
that,
little
just
waft
pop
there.
a little bit of cayenne if you have it, or sorry, a little bit of saffron in.
Taste of
Yeah.
flavour of Marrakesh.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm
I've
going to
ever been.
pop this into my lamb. This is going to marinate. Now, this is lamb shoulder. So you just want to really massage the marinade in. I had some gloves there. Here we
This
go.
is one of your slow cooking cuts
Absolutely.
of the lamb shoulder.
Yeah. So it does. The great thing actually about this dish is that if you were in a bit more of a hurry for it, you could cook it at a higher temperature, 180, 200, say for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to get it on much earlier in the day, you can just let it cook for maybe
and
5
slow.
or 6 or 7 hours
Yeah.
at maybe 130, 140, that kind of thing.
The lower and slower, the better.
Well, probably it is a bit nicer. It just becomes a bit
Yeah.
richer, slower. But like, it's still lovely if you give it 2.5 to 3 hours at the higher temperature.
So shoulder, any other cuts of the lamb that you use for something like this? Did somebody use the neck recently?
Yeah, I was going to say that what I like about the shoulder is there's quite a bit of fat on it, so it just mellows. It kind of renders out during the cooking and keeps it all nice and moist.
Flavours in the fat?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to brown off the lamb first. So there are a few steps in this, but to be fair, once we've done this bit, the rest is very,
It is a
very easy to
one-pot
do.
wonder, though, you know.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm just going to pop my lamb onto my pan, and you want to hear a sizzle. If you don't hear a sizzle, just stop.
Is that a high heat now, is it?
Exactly, yeah. And I was actually just saying to people who came to my class the other evening, the thing is, if you don't hear a sizzle, just take it back off, because the whole point of this is very important. I wanted to spend a bit of time doing this because this is what sears in all the juices, sears in its own liquid and caramelises
You're
the
almost
outside.
scorching it around
Exactly. So if you put one piece in and you find it's not sizzling, you're not committed to the moment. You can just stop and wait, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
And don't forget as well, the pan will actually cool down with the meat in it as well. So don't put too much in at the one time.
Right.
And spread it out nice and evenly.
Okay.
So over here, while I'm waiting for that, I have some bulgur wheat. And we're going to make a nice tabbouleh with this.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is just,
Tabbouleh.
fill up the pan about an inch above the surface of the tabbouleh
What
with some
is
stock.
bulgur wheat, Tara?
Well, it's just cracked wheat, basically.
Bad
yeah,
mannered
it's cracked
wheat.
wheat.
Oh,
yeah.
bulgur.
Ah, bulgur.
Sorry.
Very good.
Oh, dear.
Wheat that swears.
So I'm going to basically, the technique for this to make it really, really tasty is to boil it up fairly ferociously.
Was that
until
stock you put in?
Yeah, a
Was it,
little
yeah?
bit of stock. Not too strong, like not too strongly flavoured stock, vegetable stock I have there. But just get the heat really high on it and evaporate the liquid really, really quickly. Then pop the lid on and steam it with the heat off for at least 10 minutes, but up to an hour. So it's quite handy if you've got people coming over. You can have it with the lid on, steaming away.
Yeah.
And if you want to stop and have a drink, or and you're not at the table
Kind
straight
of
away.
similar to cooking couscous, is
Yeah.
it?
Exactly. Yeah. I have to say, I much prefer the bulgur wheat to the couscous because it's a bit more nutty. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a bit better for you as well because it's less processed. Like couscous is just basically tiny pieces of pasta,
It's very heavy as well.
Exactly, yeah. But I just like the texture of this. It's more nutty, So when we get a nice bit of caramelisation and browning on this,
That colour's gorgeous.
yeah,
Lovely.
that's what we're looking for. We're going to get our onions in to sweat off nice and slowly. We've a new hob here, so I'm
Yeah, it's a joy, isn't
It's a
it?
bit cooler over on this side than it is on this side, so I'm moving everything around. You want to make sure, it's actually good though, because you do want to make sure you've good heat on it. And actually, sometimes people, I find even at the classes, even though I go through this, they don't cook their meat, they don't brown off the meat on a high enough temperature, and what happens then is, you'll find the pan is filling up with liquid, and that's the meat losing its own flavour. So if you don't do this properly, you'd be better off, you know, and its own juices. If you don't do this properly, you're better off actually just skipping this step altogether. Yeah, exactly.
That's I always the browning now I find tricky.
Yeah,
Probably
so
'cause
it's
I don't
worth
have
taking
it high
time
enough.
to do it.
And
You know,
do the
you want to
small
get it
batches
nice.
too.
Yeah.
Don't
Exactly.
do it all the one time.
Yeah,
You're
that's
just stewing
probably-
the meat, otherwise you're not searing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not going to do it all now because we need to move along, but I'm just going to get my onions on now. And you can turn the temperature down a little bit, but give those a good caramelisation as well.
Have you any oil in there? Or are you just using the
I
juices
might
from
put
the-
another little bit of oil in if I need it in a second.
Yeah.
Now, normally I'd let the onions really caramelise slowly for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then I'd add the garlic in.
Okay.
And then I add the lamb back in. So just let's pretend this is a little bit more
They've cooked down for
well
10 or 15
caramelised.
minutes.
Yeah, in with the lamb.
Yeah.
Then a tin of tomatoes
Lovely.
and some stock and a little bit of honey. And we're just going to let it cook away in that for a good sort of hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
And then after that, for the last hour, I'm going to add in my aubergine, my preserved lemon, and a little bit of yeah, it's lovely, and a little bit of apricot, dried apricot. So that's what kind of makes that food from that part of the world. A lot of like dried and preserved fruits. Which are really lovely, you know.
We'll leave you there.
Yeah, perfect.
And we'll come back to you in an hour or so's time and see
Great.
how you're getting
It'll
on.
be lunchtime.
And we'll be hungry.
Absolutely.
Gotta
As
warn you.
always.
We're pretty hungry at that stage.
I'm hungry now.
It's not ready yet. It's not ready. Here, have a preserved lemon.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that.